Hello, everybody. Um, I'm Chantal. I'm here in Sydney, Australia, and I'm going to chat to you guys about listening partnerships. And I wanted to start just by welcoming everyone here today, everyone who's made the effort to be here and taken time out of their busy evening or day. We really appreciate it. It's a big thing to do when you're a parent and you've got busy days. So thank you, and thank you for being a good and attentive parent who wants to do their very best for their child. Um, Now, I am an instructor candidate with Hand in Hand Parenting. Hand in Hand Parenting is an organisation founded by Patty Whipler almost 30 years ago, when she received the gift of being listened to by an attentive adult, and just realized how transformative it could be for herself, and then has gone on to give that gift to countless parents all around the world, such as myself. And my own introduction to Hand in Hand was around when my daughter was 2. We started to look into different sort of parenting assistance, and I found after a couple of years of peaceful parenting and all of that sort of stuff that Hand in Hand is really the grandmother of all of the different styles that you can get into. And I really do believe that Hand in Hand's 5 tools are a one-stop shop for everything that you need as a parent. So their tools are special time, um, setting limits, which means setting loving limits and coming in close and setting whatever boundary or limit you have to give your child in a really empathic way. Play listening, which is using play to follow the giggles to help you and your children through particular difficulties or anything. And stay listening, which is listening to the feelings as they pour out. And it's such a powerful thing to have your feelings not only accepted and acknowledged, but to have someone listen to you. And that is where listening time comes in for the parent. And that's the one parent-centric tool. And I'd like to talk a little bit more about that today with everyone. So my own experience with listening time was, again, funnily enough, the other 4 tools stood out to me, and I thought, this is great, this is exactly what you need. But listening didn't seem important to me. I had wonderful friends. I built my tribe basically through an attachment parenting group. So most of my parent friends are on the same page, and we'd have little chats and all that sort of stuff. And I thought, I don't need listening. I've got that support. But as I was doing one of the Hand in Hand parenting short courses, it kept coming up. Every single video or piece of material would mention that listening time is the foundation of what we're doing here. And so I thought, give it a go. And I went on to the Hand in Hand Parents Listening Support page, and I posted, and I had my first listening session with someone, which wasn't that great. I went back in and had a look at all the other people's posts, and I found someone, and she clicked, like everything she said in her post clicked with me, and I contacted her, and she even gave me a couple of other caveats in that, and I thought, oh, this is someone I feel like I'm going to connect with. This is the right person. And so I've had her now, I think, for 2 years or something like that, and she's still such an amazing support in my life. Hi, Claire. Thank you for joining. and and so, yeah, so that's been really great for me. And I have a few different listening partners. I have an emergency pool that I can go to now as well. And so the idea of listening time is that you connect with another parent or somebody that you feel that you can develop this safe relationship with. And you share a set amount of listening time. So to start off with, maybe half an hour each way. I do most of mine over the phone. In person is what Hand in Hand encourages, because that's a really special connection that you don't get. Hi, Sylvia. So basically, find a person that you think this is going to work with. If you can go over the guidelines, they're really important to understand, because that was probably what I've had 3 listening partnerships that didn't work out, and I think at the end of the day it was just that they didn't fully understand the guidelines, and so that didn't work because they were giving advice or they were stopping to do other things. So basically, when you're going to do this, you set out the time with no distractions. You know that you're going to give that person your whole as much as you possibly can, and listening. When you're the listener, you're just holding the space that the other person is good, that they're wise, that they can solve their own problems. That's basically the foundation of it, is that us parents actually do have the answers within, and that we're all good. We're all good, we're all wise, and we have the answers. So the listener just holds that space for the other person. When I'm listening, I have a little bit of a mantra that I think to myself is, this person is good, this person is wise, this person has got this. And that's also something I remind myself if I find myself drifting, although I'm much better at that than I was in the beginning. But that's okay. It's kind of like meditation. When your mind drifts a little bit, you just pull yourself back and remind yourself, okay, I'm here right now, and this is what I need for this person. And when you're the speaker, you can basically use this tool however you want, and there's so many different ways. Hand in hand suggests when you're first starting out, and if you don't have something to talk about immediately for half an hour, then you might want to tell your life story. So starting from the very beginning up to now, I've used it in a way where you're talking to someone. So you could be talking to your child, you could be talking to your mum, your dad, your old high school teacher, your school's principal, anyone, and you can have it out with them, and you'll be amazed how much better it is once you've had that out with someone who's not judging you, not giving you advice, and just holding you with love. And you can face some situations that you may not have thought you were able to face after that. It's quite amazing. And I've had that experience where I was holding something very it was weighing me down. We were about to go overseas, and I had a particular fear that I was really struggling with, and I almost felt it was too big for any listening partner I had. So I did contact the one that I said I've had from the very beginning, who is amazing, and I just texted her and I said, look, I'm really struggling with something. I think it's big. I'm not sure if you can help me. And she wrote back and said, look, there's nothing that you could disclose to me or anything like that that's going to be too much for me, and I want to be there for you. So I had that with her, and I honestly thought it was going to be a project. But after just having that listening with her for 15 minutes or so, I walked away feeling lighter, and it wasn't weighing me down the whole trip, which is what I thought was going to happen. And it was, truly amazing. So I might just I'll take a minute's listening time now, just to give you an example of what that might look like. So I'll just set that up for me. All right. Okay. All right. So right now I'm feeling a bit nervous. I'm feeling like, I feel disconnected because I'm just seeing me, and I'm not seeing all you beautiful people out there listening. And so it feels a little bit like I'm having a conversation with myself in my bedroom, which was the only place in the house that I could guarantee the kids wouldn't come into. And in my parenting today, I'm feeling pretty good. We had a family meeting this morning and went over some things that feel like, basically went over some goal setting for our family, and just trying to work on the sibling rivalry at the moment. So we tried to come up with some solutions to that in that meeting, and then we had special time. So I feel like I've kicked some goals this morning. And that's me. So basically, whilst I would be doing that, the other person would just be listening. If you're over the phone, obviously you've got to give a few different cues that you're there. So you might be like, yeah, or whatever feels natural, but you're just not interrupting, or you're not saying, oh, I know, or anything like that. Just really sort of, I'm here and I'm listening and I've got you, sort of thing. And then once you're finished, it's a great idea to ask a really sort of, sometimes a name question, or something a little bit like that requires a little bit of thought, because the idea is you want to take someone from the emotional headspace that they're in when they're having their share back into whatever they've got to go back to. So an example for that might be like name 5 fruits that have skin you can peel or something like that. Just to give them that, so just to jump from one, brain to the other. I'm so bad with the science. And so, yeah, basically I'd love to take any questions. So anyone out there who's got some questions that they could throw at me would be great. Has anyone had any experiences with this or anything you'd like to know? I would love some, yeah. Claire, how are you feeling out there? Do you need anything clarified? Beth? Sylvia? All right, so as I'm waiting for anything that you guys might have, so I get, what else can we sort of cover? Yeah, I guess it takes time to learn to just listen and not be worried. What if you like advice? Great question. I think that's just it's a different modality. So that's where you do sit and chat to your friends. That's where it's a completely separate experience, and that's what makes it different. That's what means that I did actually need listening time, because I need this forum, and you don't know until you start doing it. So that's a great question. Where and how do you find a good listening partner? So the Hand in Hand Parent Support page is probably the best space because it's got a lot of people in there. So you post your name, your location, maybe if you have some preferred times, if you wanted to post the age of your kids as well, and then people come to you through that. There is a Hand in Hand Parenting Listening Support page, but it doesn't have quite as big a pool. So you can also I would post in both. That's what I did when I was looking. And also if you have any parent communities that you could go into. So I don't know we've got a local attachment parenting group, so that's a good spot to look for people. And yeah, Sylvia, just also, so if you like giving advice, because I love to give advice. I love all of this stuff, and I get really caught up in how great, hand in hand parenting is and stuff like that. So that's where I have to remind myself of my mantra, this person has got this. This is about them. It's not about me and all the wonderful information I have in my head. Yeah, so there's the Facebook group if you're all interested in signing up for that. And we also have, so there is a listening booklet, which I think is good to read through, the listening guidelines, which you'll also find on the Hand in Hand page. And there is a self-guided listening course, which has a whole lot of different types of listening that go on. So it's kind of complicated, I think, in a way, because when you first start listening, you don't want to ever sort of interrupt the person. But as you build trust and as things are going well with your partnership and you feel like you're both trusted, you may want to prompt someone. But I always take a bit of care and make sure that there's been a real sort of pause before you prompt someone. So you might say, if they've had a pause and they've said something that you think might be going a bit deep, you might say, oh, what does that remind you of? Or when did something like that happen to you? Or who, if this had happened when you were a child, what might have happened to you, that sort of thing. But I would take care with those, and that's something that you learn as you go. So Claire, so if you need urgent listening, now I'm in a couple of emergency listening groups, which I've found really good. And if you go on the Hand in Hand Parenting page, you can ask to be added to one of those groups, or I can do that too, if you want to send me your details. But otherwise, if you need emergency listening time, I think you can do a text or a Facebook message, or if you've got a close relationship with your LP, you could leave a voicemail or do a voice recording. And I've even had success where I did a pretend recording with someone. So whilst I was away and I didn't have reception, I just pretended to call my LP and leave a voicemail. So yeah, weekly is good if you can. So yeah, so weekly or even a couple of times a week. Schedule is needed, as you say. That's the best thing to do. Yeah, no, I think you need at least weekly, Claire. I think monthly is hard, and even probably a couple of times a week. But I would say for your self care and just for your parenting, at least weekly is a really important. And the other thing I sort of didn't mention, which I found amazing, was connecting with the time in my daughter's life. I was struggling with her at age 7, and when I spent listening time on working on what was happening when I was 7, I realized that was when my youngest sibling was born, and a whole lot of stuff blew up in my life at that time. And so, yeah, connecting with all of that and realizing that that's the age that I'm trying to parent, and how much that must impact you as you're going along. So that's another really great way to use the tool. So I have a talk coming up in Sydney. I think most of you are elsewhere, but I have a talk coming up at Billy Kids Bilgola, Kindy, on the 15th of May, and that's from 7:30 to 9 p.m. for anyone who is local to Northern Beaches. Feel free to contact me. I'm Auntie Ask at www.auntieask.com, or Chantal Harrison. You can use my personal as well. And we've also got 66% off the listening skills self-guided class, if anyone's interested in that. Has someone put that? If we'll put the link on for you. So 66% off that, and that's great. So as I said, it goes quite deeply into this listening, which will be fabulous. But you might not use those more advanced tools until a little bit later. But it does give you a great idea of all the different ways in which you can use listening partnership, and really gives you a great understanding of listening. And yes, I am on Insta. I think it's Aunt Ask. Yeah, so it's Aunt Ask on Insta, but feel free to PM me if you can't find the details. All right, so any other questions? Otherwise, I might just leave it there. And happy Mother's Day. So the code for the 66% off the listening skills course is Mother's Day, because it is Mother's Day coming up. And yeah, happy Mother's Day, and just thank you everyone for joining me today, and thank you for what brilliant work you're doing with your children. Maria, in person or on phone, it's up to you. It's really as to whether or not you can find someone who, it's where you can find that person. And I think in person, for me, it feels more intimate. So that's challenging in one way, but it's also powerful. And if you've got someone like that in your life that you think that's going to work with, then definitely go for that. It's whatever you can do, because this is something that you need to get going as soon as possible. You won't know yourself once you do. So thank you everyone for joining me today, and I hope you've gotten something out of this, and please feel free to get in contact if you need any more help. Thanks guys. Bye bye.